data and analytics in general is a big mistake that people don't hone in on as well.
Okay. So people aren't like diving into the analytics.
No, they just do things, but they have no idea what's actually going on behind the scenes.
I use that term a lot, but it's based on vibes, and they're just working based on those vibes.
Yeah, like, is it working? Is it not? Oh, it's not working. Let's try something else. But they should really know the reason why.
Hello and welcome to the Gym Owners Forum podcast. As usual, I'm Tom, and today we are joined by a really, really good and interesting guest, as always, I suppose. But we are joined today by Olivia Stott from Boss Digital, and also the host of the podcast, The Fitness Network, available on all of your podcast streaming services. It's really, really good. I recommend checking it out. But today I just wanted to talk about marketing. I think it's a massively under attention paid, if that's even a thing, subject area in the fitness industry. And I think I just wanted today to be a little bit more of an insight into what it is, what it means, and how you should be doing it. So yeah, if you could dive into a little bit about who you are, what your background is, and how you came to kind of work for Boss Digital, because I thought that was really interesting. And then, kind of what your day-to-day is, and then a little bit about the Fitness Network as well, if that's possible.
Yeah, of course.
Perfect.
So my name's Olivia. So I won't go into too much detail with my background because it's not very interesting. I don't think anyone's going to want to listen to it. But I basically used to be a personal trainer, self-employed. So it was quite hard graft, very unsociable hours, very long hours. But I love the industry. Like there's such a buzz about the industry that you don't get in other industries. So I feel like when I'm teaching a class or running a session, no one ever leaves that session or class feeling demotivated or depressed. Everyone leaves feeling good about themselves. Everyone feels challenged. So even though I had to get up at 4 a.m. some days, it always just felt good after the day had finished because I'd known like I had helped someone out. I knew I wanted to stay in the industry, but I wasn't sure what route to go down because I got to a point where I wasn't feeling challenged anymore. I found it quite easy. And once I don't feel challenged, I get very bored. So I was like, what is it that I can do in the industry that's maybe a little bit more creative, challenging, but also normal hours, and maybe more like 9 to 5. So I actually had some social life. So that's where I found Boss. So Boss Digital is a digital marketing agency. And I'm the account manager at the agency for the health and fitness sector, and consumer brands as well. So my job ultimately is just to be the voice of the customer internally, making sure that we're hitting their business objectives, their business goals. Is the strategy working? And if the strategy isn't working, why is it not working? And like, what can we do to pivot to make it work? And just put myself in the customer's shoes. And okay, if they're not like what we're doing, how can we change that? That's my job ultimately. I mean, there's a team of 10 of us, quite a small team, the agency, but they're all experts in their own fields. We've got an expert in geography, an expert in web design, in content, in SEO and PPC, and it works really well. I love the fact, because I'm quite a people person, I love the fact that the agency is very like honest and transparent. I mentioned to you earlier that we have feedback sessions with the clients, so it's quite nice that I get to still receive like positive feedback but also negative feedback and build that relationship. I think obviously being a personal trainer, I've always been about building relationships with people. So that was one of the things I wanted to make sure I continued throughout whatever I ended up doing after being a personal trainer. That's kind of in a nutshell on what I do.
No, that's perfect. And I mean, it's literally kind of the reason that I wanted to get you on the podcast today, is because the major thing that I kind of notice every single day of visiting customers, visiting gyms, everyone of that nature, is that like just that the marketing aspect of it and the kind of understanding of it, it's such a big and scary thing. But actually, like you yourself, you're someone that, you know, worked their way through the industry as a personal trainer, and not to repeat everything you just said, but like you now have that marketing experience. It's not this kind of big scary thing that, you know, is terrifying. It's like this thing that actually, you know, is massively beneficial to businesses. And, you know, I'm sure you can touch on it later, but it massively.
I mean, I had no experience in marketing at all before I joined. So I came into Boss Digital as just someone with the industry experience and someone with connections to the industry. So for me, I was quite oblivious to what marketing even was as well. I just thought, it was just posting on Instagram every day. And that was marketing done. I didn't really understand it. It's not, obviously, I know a little bit further now. I'm 2.5 years down the line. I hope that I know a bit more about it now. But yeah, it's crazy how I think gyms, just the industry especially, is quite oblivious to what marketing actually is and how much more there is that you can do in order to market.
And in an industry that's so massively like about being online as well, it's like, it seems really like, paradoxical, I guess. But we'll get into that a little bit later on. What I do typically on these podcasts is when we first start, just do a quick fire answers to questions, basically. You this week have just got finished that sentence. I said that as if that was a bad thing. That's one of the more fun ones we've had. So if I say a sentence, you just finish off the sentence, basically.
Okay, I'm not very good at quick fire, but I'll try my best.
It's fine. Yeah, I mean,
I ramble.
I think the general I do was one word, but I don't know.
I'll try.
So the biggest mistake that gym owners make when it comes to marketing is blank.
Social media is the way to get it will increase members and increase retention, and that's the only way.
That's the mistake they're making.
Yeah.
No. Okay. I mean, yeah. I think we're both in it.
To be honest, so there's quite a few. That was a bit negatively, but I also think like data and analytics in general is a big mistake that people don't hone in on as well.
Okay. So people aren't like diving into the analytics.
No, they just do things, but they have no idea what's actually going on behind the scenes.
I use that term a lot, but it's based on vibes, and they're just working based on those vibes.
Yeah, like, is it working? Is it not? Oh, it's not working. Let's try something else. But they really know the reason why.
Yeah, for sure. The best way to retain members is blank.
Just providing customers with additional value.
If I could give gym owners one branding tip, it would be blank.
Focus on distinctiveness.
Okay, I know that we're going to touch on that. I know I think he'd say that, but I think...
Or like, think about your brand assets and think about just 5 distinctive assets to choose from. Again, I'll go into it in more detail, but instead of having a whole brand guideline slide deck, just think about like just a one-pager. Think about one page of your distinctive assets.
Yeah, okay. I think that's something that I try and say to people as well, is like, find your niche. Like, people try and... I said it to you earlier, like, jack of all trades, master of none. Like, it is so true. Like, if you're just trying to do everything, you're not going to really do anything.
Yeah, but that's more like differentiation, I'd say. That's more like positioning, but distinctiveness is like branding, like in itself. So your logo, your typography, your jingle, that kind of thing.
Oh god, yeah, I've got a lot to learn as well, clearly. And then finally, the biggest marketing fad trend is blank.
Oh, that's a tricky one. I use marketing fad. I feel like it's a bit of a cop-out, but I feel like, again, the social media thing, I think it just drives me insane. That's the point where I'm like, I always relate back to it, that social media isn't the be-all, end-all of marketing. Yeah. There is so much more to it. But again, I'll ask go into more details.
Well, I know that it's not what you meant when you said it's a cop-out, but actually I think just relying on social media as your marketing is a bit of a cop-out. And so, you can spin it that way, I guess, because it's like there's so much more to, marketing and getting your business out there.
Thinking about the bigger picture, the full digital strategy.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, I mean, let's kind of dive right into it. There's so much stuff there that we can kind of pick apart anyway. Yeah. So, I guess let's start with like branding. And I know that you mentioned earlier kind of the long and the short of it, and that's marketing actually. But I guess it all encompasses into one. So if you could dive into a little bit about, short-term marketing versus long-term marketing, what your kind of first initial thoughts are on it. And then, phrase it however you want.
I mean, I'm loving this topic at the moment, long and short of it. I don't know if you've heard the book or read the book.
Yeah.
I highly recommend not listening to the audio because it is diabolical. Just read it, because when like people do an audio version of the book, it just doesn't work. It's really hard to like process. So the long and the short of it was written by Peter Field and Les Burnett. And it's basically about how brand building and short-term activation is crucial. but they say the long and the short. So it's not the long or the short, it's making sure you do both. And I think the mistake that people make is that they'll either do all short-term activation or all brand building, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
You need both. So the long being the brand building, the short being the activation and the sales. So they've got this rule called the 60-40 rule, which take the number with a pinch of salt because it's not the same sort of percentage with all industries. So for example, with charities, I think it's like 52-48%. So 52% on brand building, 48% on activation. So again, you can work it out. I think there's something called tracksuits. I've never used it before, so if it's rubbish, don't come at me. But I think it works out like your percentage for what industry you're in. But the rule is basically don't do too much short-term activation and no brand building.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you're just pushing sales after sales, you're not able to build that brand and the loyalty and the trust with your customers. And they're just going to get fed up with all these like promos all the time.
Yeah.
So you need to just, like I said, build that loyalty and trust with your members so that they do end up just purchasing. And the mistake that people make is that with short-term activation, it's obviously immediate ROI. So they're like, this is great. Like, I'm going to get revenue for my business. But actually, the long also does that, the brand building. You just got to be more patient with it. It's just a longer lasting and enduring relationship with the customer, meaning it's going to be like an ROI eventually, but just in a longer period of time. So you've got to think about the differences. So the short term is more like rational, it's more like factual, sales driven, immediate ROI, but short term. And then you've got your brand building, which is more emotional, like storytelling. It's your mass market. You're saying it to everyone. And again, just longer, lasting, enduring. So yeah, it's finding that balance of both. And that sort of leads me into the brand storytelling side of things as well. Because obviously brand building is about storytelling. Like think about John Lewis, for example. They have this Christmas campaign they do every year. Everyone knows John Lewis's Christmas campaign is going to be coming at some point. And they don't sell products on it. They're not there to be like, buy now, like buy our new Hoover. Like they're not there to sell the products.
Yeah.
They're not there for immediate ROI. They're just they're telling a story. They're building the brand. So eventually, most of those people watching that advert will probably end up going to John Lewis at some point around Christmas time and buying the product. So again, you will get ROI from it. It's just not necessarily immediate. I think with like gyms, especially startups, that's slightly different, I think, because
Don't do a John Lewis Christmas advert. They're fresh new gyms. Yeah, no, that's
literally. And I think, to be fair, with startups, they do normally recommend like short term maybe as a higher percentage at first than brand building, because obviously you need to get some money in and get some obviously revenue, but eventually you do need to end up pivoting and sort of balance it out a bit so you're still doing brand building alongside short term. But again, you're not doing full short, you are always doing a bit of brand building behind the scenes.
I think so, because actually, you know, it is that thing that everyone that goes to the gym is going to, like, no one's going to go, oh, like I use X gym because of this great promo they use. It's actually because of the whole all-encompassing experience that they have.
Exactly.
And they relate to the gym. So it's very true. In terms of that brand building, and I mean, I know that they kind of don't do a John Lewis advert as a joke, but it's kind of true. Like what actually can they do to do that kind of brand building, that storytelling to, you know, get people to relate to the gym?
For gyms, for example, it's like, let's say social media. It's not always like a deal after deal, promo after promo, sales and sales.
Yeah.
Think about like success stories or customer stories in general, or community stuff. So like posting things that aren't just buy this product or buy a PT session. And some people also make the big mistake of trying to do both in the same thing. So they're running a campaign, but they're telling a little sort of emotional story, but at the end of it they're saying buy your PT session now, and it's like they can see through that. That's just sales. You just either need to do one or the other. And I think again the Peter Field and Les Binet keep saying like don't do both in the same one either. You need to do one and the other separately, otherwise it sort of, what's the word, it just doesn't work.
It seems transparent, like it's not very like sincere. It's
people see through it.
It just comes across as badly as well. And I think you don't actually want that reputation of the gym that's always like plugging content and stuff. You actually want to be like seen as, because actually in reality, the kind of budget gyms that, most independent gyms are actually competing with, they are the kind of more short-term sales cycle thing. They don't really do a lot of brand building because the brand is just is based around that. Yeah. So I mean, it kind of again builds into your differentiation and things like that. So I mean, that would be a great topic to touch on as well. How can brands differentiate themselves? And
so I feel what I'll do first is like go over what differentiation is and what distinctiveness is. The difference between them both. So differentiation is like what makes you different to a competitor. So like you say, your positioning or USP, let's call it. But not everyone's going to have a USP, because realistically, there's so many people in the world. Everyone's going to have something that's the same as someone else. So finding your USP is important, but it's not like the be all end all. So for example, Apple, like everyone knows that they're like they've got seamless integration, you get excellent customer experience in the store, their simplicity and elegance, that's what they're well known for. And obviously like the value of the product, they know what they're getting for it. And then there's distinctiveness, which is what makes you memorable. So that's what makes someone remember you for your like brand assets. So brand assets is what I was trying to just sort of speak about earlier, is like your typography, your Pantone, your jingle, your mascot. So for example, Kit Kat. Everyone knows Kit Kat's typography. Everyone knows their tagline, have a break, have a Kit Kat. Everyone knows that they've got the snap in their adverts. Everyone knows like the four bar log shape of the bar. So it's thinking as a brand, what are your 5 distinctive assets, and stick with them. Like, is it a jingle? Is it a mascot like McDonald's has? Yeah. So think about the 5 and use it consistently, because I feel like most brands get bored of their assets and they're just like, oh, we've used this red and white like Pantone for so long now, should we change it up and add a bright pink? Like, the consumers don't see it enough that they care. Yeah. Whereas I know people who work for the brand do, and they get bored and they won't use it all the time. But actually the consumer only sees it once in a blue moon. To just keep being consistent with it, I think, is important. And so the reason why I explained that is because Byron Sharp, another sort of like leader in the marketing space, he wrote the book How Brands Grow. I don't know if you've heard of that book before, I don't know. And his argument was that distinctiveness is the key driver for success, and positioning was actually nothing. He just like thought it was pointless, which I disagree with. But Mark Ritson, again, another sort of like marketing leader in the industry, which you probably heard. I think he's Australian. Can't remember now. But he's very funny. Definitely one to listen to. He argues that actually, again, it's not differentiation versus distinctiveness, it's both. And he uses this terminology like bothism. Like, we need to be using differentiation and distinctiveness in order to drive success for brands. So you still need to think about your positioning and your USP, but then you also equally need to have very distinctive assets in order to drive success as a brand.
I mean, in your kind of personal experience with distinctive assets and having like that differentiation, would you say that that's quite a common thing that most people notice? Well, I'm trying to think of examples in my head, basically, where I could think like, oh, this brand's done this and I actually remember it. But I wouldn't say there's that many gyms that I can think about that actually do have that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like Techno Gym, for example, I know it's like black and yellow. Yeah. And, it's like the equipment, you recognise it as soon as you walk into the gym, like the equipment. And again, like the premium side of it as well you're going to get with it. From like a gym example, I'm trying to think. I guess Pure Gym do it quite well.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to say is I think actually
sorry, I was going to say there's quite a few, but I think it's more for like the brands who are less well known and they're just trying to get like noticed in this big this crowded marketplace. Yeah. And they're like, oh, we're not getting noticed, let's just keep changing our colours and hope that someone notices us one day.
Well, I think that's it, is actually if you just stick to it and make sure it's actually, in terms of your branding, is fully fleshed out and understood, then actually you don't really have to touch it again, as long as you're just being consistent with all the templates that you've built and for all your postings and things like that.
Yeah.
Then actually you don't really touch it, and all the actual work that you're doing in terms of like, you know, like contacting your members, community, like giving back to the community and getting involved with like local suppliers and stuff like that. I think that's kind of where it all feeds into.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that's actually, it is really important, because then, as you say, people only see it once in a blue moon, but actually if they see it 3 or 4 times, they're like, oh,
Is that?
and then they like see it on the high street.
That's so much it is, and that's it all relates to each other. But yeah, people just get bored, and that's the mistake I think again that people make is just don't get bored of your own brand, because yes, it is quite boring after a while. If you've done it for 10 years, the same, everything is the same on every single channel. That's the other thing that people make mistakes on is like putting different things on different channels. They're not the same visual identity.
Yeah.
It's like their website looks completely different to their Instagram page. It's like, how that's not connecting at all. How am I meant to know that you're that brand?
Yeah.
Because it looks completely different. So yeah, does that make sense?
No,
Differentiation, distinctive.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's actually, I mean, I've just had a bit of a light bulb moment where it's like, actually, like, that is one of the most important things, because someone might see something and just completely not relate it to you.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of just completely released as, yeah. So, no, it's interesting, definitely, that's kind of it is one of the most important things, but I think it is quite often a thing that, because it's maybe like, I'm trying to think of examples again, like because of the marketing guy in the gym hasn't necessarily had that conversation with the owner about it. They're kind of not really on the same page with what they're putting out on all the different channels.
Yeah.
And I was going to say so, it's completely slipped my mind.
Sorry.
But yeah, and I think that was the top and bottom of it. Really is actually just extremely important.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if we're talking about this later on, but it comes with like the retaining of your customers as well, is having those the positioning and the distinctiveness. It brings it back to like retaining your customers, because they know you for what you are. Like, they know you for who you are. So yeah, I can go into more detail on that if you hit.
No, well, I mean, yeah, I think, to be honest, it's kind of you've gone at social media a little bit and said that, you know, people are focusing way too much on it. It'd be useful to know what are the other kind of outlets that people can use, for you know, marketing their business and getting their brand out there.
Yeah, so I think the biggest misconception, especially for gyms, is obviously social media is the biggest driving force and biggest marketing tool for increasing numbers and increasing revenue, which is most of the time what people want as their business goal, I guess. And we just need to think about the full digital strategy. So something that we do at Boss, and whenever I get like a prospect in or a lead in, is I always do like an initial audit and analyze like all the touch points that a customer goes through. So obviously one of them is social media. I'll look at what content they're posting, or who's engaging with their content and what kind of content is it that they're posting. But then I'll also look at something like the website. Like, is it easy to navigate? Is there good user experience? Are there many pages indexed on the website? Is it like a fast speed on mobile and on laptop or on desktop? And then you look at stuff like SEO, like, are you ranking for local search terms? Are you ranking for specific services? So there's a whole long list of stuff.
For the layman's out there, in terms of SEO, I think people don't necessarily really know massively what it is. I know quite a few people that I speak to just don't really understand and grasp what it is or why it's so important. So can you maybe just really quickly dive and give an overview of that, what it is, why it's so important, what it actually means?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not the best person to ask about each individual strategy, because we've got the experts that deal with each strategy as such, or each service, I should say. But SEO is just generally like, if someone's searching for you, you're not ranking at the top of at the top of Google, for example, then they're not going to be choosing you. They're going to be choosing someone else. Yeah. So you need to be ranking higher than your competitors. And by doing this, you need to have like there's a whole long list of like what you need to be able to rank higher than other people. It's like to do with your content on your website. Are you answering like the customer questions? Are you a reliable source? Are you linking to other sources, like resources? There's like we've got like a whole SEO checklist, so it could go into quite a lot of detail. And same with like paid ads and obviously website and PPC, everything like that. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. It gives just a breakdown.
Yeah, but it is.
Yeah, exactly.
But in terms of like the full digital strategy, I think the thing that people are not fully like investing in is their website, because at the end of the day, social media entices you into like wanting to explore a certain brand, but actually the website is probably the place that people are going to convert, right? So if they can't navigate your website, then what's the point? They're just going to give up. They're not going to bother. They're not going to bother purchasing anything.
Exactly.
And if their customer questions aren't being answered, so if they want to know what the pricing of a membership is and they can't even just find it on the website, they've got to fill in an inquiry form or phone someone just to work out the prices. Again, they can't just answer it.
Yeah, I can't remember. You've probably heard it, but there's like it's like the Amazon thing as well. Like if you have to click more than like 3 times, then you're just not interested and you make any sales. So yeah, it's that, as you say, that user experience on the website. One thing that I also see quite a lot is like the website is a completely different, as you say, from the Instagram, and it's like a subconscious thing. But if you go from like a really nice looking Instagram page to just a really horrible like website, you're immediately like, what the hell is this? Like this isn't what I like was going to sign up for. So you just immediately like turn off it. So yeah, that again, differentiation comes massively into it.
And the other big thing is with Instagram and all social media in general and your website is that you don't own social media, whereas you own your website. So for example, if Instagram suddenly closed down next week, you've lost everything. If everything's on Instagram, then you don't own it. So whereas you own a website, you've got full control of that. I think say with email marketing, you have full control of email, because you don't of social media. So don't fully just rely on that. You need to think about the other things.
Yeah.
And the other thing is Google. Obviously, you're talking about SEO, but people still search for stuff on Google. Like that's not something that people don't do anymore.
Yeah.
It's not just like, I know TikTok and stuff have got search now, but they still, again, they educate themselves and check themselves, make sure they're happy about the purchase, and they'll go on the website just to double check
it's real. No, that 100%.
The last thing, I guess, for again a full digital strategy is tracking the right metrics. And again, what I mentioned earlier from the questions that you gave, you called them now, but tracking the right metrics. A lot of people obviously love vanity metrics. They mean nothing. Like, yeah, it's great if you get 1,000 likes or like you get a certain amount of reach or impressions on your ads. But at the end of the day, like that means absolutely nothing. If you want revenue and you're getting engagement and impressions, no one cares. So you need to think about like, okay, how many website visits have you got from your ads? How many people have converted from your signups? How many people where's the drop-off point on your user journey? And obviously if they're dropping off that user journey, why are they dropping off? Like, so you just need to think about the actual real metrics you need to be focusing on and not just like vanity.
Playing kind of devil's advocate a little bit in terms of the vanity metrics, like the likes and stuff, does that play at all into the like branding of it though? And you can maybe say like, our brand has improved this much since here because of this like, or is it?
So we sort of see it as like top of funnel and bottom of funnel. Okay. So top of funnel being more like awareness, bottom funnel being like obviously conversions. So top of funnel is, like if, for example, we're doing a organic content strategy for a client where we're posting regularly, 4 times a week or 4 times a month, whatever it is, then that will be the metrics that we use to say, look, we've been posting 4 times a week. This is the content that's resonating most with the people, the consumers. And you've got X amount of likes and followers over the last 2 months, whatever. So there is still that in the sense of the awareness side of things, but the activity that's at the bottom of the funnel, the conversions, obviously is going to be completely different metrics. It doesn't matter if there's loads of reach and impressions. And if you're running an ad, again, it is nice to see and you can mention it, but I wouldn't rely on it as such.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of going to the bottom of the funnel, in terms of those conversions, is there anything you specifically like see regularly that you think this actually really resonates with a lot of people in terms of maybe the more shorter term sales strategies and things like that? Is there anything that you think, this normally works a lot better than, for example, I see a lot of like free day passes. Sometimes gyms offer out as an advert, but actually I find that that's not necessarily great because you're just completely discounting the gym for passes in it.
it's really hard to answer that question because every brand is so different.
Yes.
It's very, very different.
I don't ask easy questions, I'll say that.
Yeah, it's really difficult. There isn't really an answer for everyone, unfortunately. Otherwise, it'd be a lot easier. And we probably wouldn't have it on. Otherwise, but yeah, this works to everyone. So we definitely would trial stuff that's worked previously. I can't think of the top of my head what has worked previously, but we wouldn't necessarily rely on it. And to be honest, most of the time when we're building like the strategy for someone, it doesn't necessarily relate anything to what we've done previously. It's normally trial and error. We'll test like, I don't know, the audience, we'll test content. And we normally run off like a 3-month test and trial period where we're just trying to work everything out and then work out the strategy from there. So yeah, it's not a great answer to your question, but there is no one answer, unfortunately.
Well, I think that is actually a fair answer. It was a tough question, but I think one of the things that is maybe that I've heard that you could probably dive in a little bit more to is that sometimes it's best just to try like everything.
Yeah.
And no matter what necessarily the piece of content is, just trial everything, because then actually, it's like casting a wide net and then seeing what works. Is that the kind of general philosophy that...
It's a difficult one again, because a lot of people would say, it depends what situation you're in. Because, I mean, my boss would kill me because he always says like, you need to do one thing and do it exceptionally well, not try 100 things and do them mediocre. Like, just do it like 5% each. Do you know what I mean? You may as well go in on full force on one specific strategy. It depends what you mean. Like, by content, do you mean like ads?
Yeah.
Fine, ads specifically.
Yeah.
As opposed to strategy. Okay. So with ads, again, I think it's important to... So if there's like, for example, 5 ad assets within an ad, you'll have like 5 different content assets, like examples. So one might be video, one might be, I don't know, a text, one might be a GIF.
Star Wars.
And then, one other might be like a quote from, I don't know, a testimonial quote.
Yeah.
So you've got 4 different ad assets. And then over that month, you gather some insights from that. So you'll say like, okay, that one's worked quite well, that one hasn't. And so you wouldn't necessarily try everything, but you're trying to pin it down to what is the best performing asset, what is the one that's converting most people, what is the asset that's resonating most with the consumers, what's the one that's driving the best conversion. So you kind of do, but don't at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely testing a few different things at once, but not too much to the point where it's like, no, I don't know any answer.
No, yeah, okay, that's it. So, obviously, I think you're going to be biased here as well. I know you are, but at working for like a digital marketing agency, I assume that I know we kind of touched it briefly, but you have like a certain type of like client that you work with. That's not necessarily true as well, because you will work with anyone. But being as objective and fair as possible, who would you say is like when is the point when you think like actually? Obviously, you should just be doing it yourself anyway as a base. But when do you think is the point when people should start to actually genuinely consider using an agency like yourself?
It's very different for everyone. Like, some people we work with have no marketing team at all. They're very much like, look, we don't know anything about marketing. Can you just take it all on for us? Whereas we have some clients who have a marketing team and we just work with them, we collaborate with them. And sometimes we even train them. So if they've got expertise in one area, but they're looking to understand Google Ads a bit better or like the analytics a bit better, we'll do training with them in order for them to eventually take it over like long term. So it's kind of like we're kicking ourselves in the feet a bit, because we're like, we're providing them with a lot of like educational and knowledge so that they can eventually take it over themselves. But at the end of the day, again, that's why I really like Boss Digital. I'm not gonna like boast about them too much, but we're very like transparent and honest with it. Like, we've even helped to hire like marketing teams, like our clients hire marketing teams because we know what we're looking for.
Yeah. Okay.
And sometimes if you haven't got marketing experience within the business, they don't know what they're actually hiring for. They're just like, we need someone in marketing, but that can mean anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like in answer to your question, it's just dependent on the business. Like if they need us to outsource everything, obviously we can do that too, depending on budget. But obviously agencies are expensive. It probably is cheaper to do in-house if you can. But obviously you need to find the expertise and the right people that are in your sort of the values of your business as well.
That's fair. And then I guess social media marketing in terms of like ads and things like, and like Google ads, as you say, like can be a bit technical and a bit confusing. So in terms of like more, I guess, straightforward strategies that are purely like confidence based in terms of like local influencers, or, you know, like pairing with the community and doing things to the community, what are some of the how effective are those, I guess, compared to ads, just to give it a kind of baseline? And then where would you actually say, and I guess how do people get started with that? What's the kind of...
Do you mean more like offline stuff as opposed to online?
Yeah, I'd say so, because I think it's more like community-based. It's more just stuff where it's not necessarily so technical, if you've got other ideas as well.
I think the thing is, people think online's the be-all end-all again. Like, that's all you need to be doing for your marketing. But I think offline is so important. Like, offline is not dead, and I think people think it is. But people really underestimate the fact that, like, you can build such an amazing relationship with your customer or consumer by like hosting events or like doing run clubs. So for example, Gymshark, they're great at it. Obviously they used to just be an online provider, and now they host, they do pop-up events everywhere, they do run clubs. And again, going back to like the long and the short, the brand building and the short-term activation, this is their like brand building side of things. They're not at those events just selling their products. They're there to build a community, and eventually those people that have probably attended that event will probably go back home and order their flows because they've had such a great time, and they really value what they've just done and what they've experienced. So I think it's definitely important for people to think about the offline stuff as well. And we do consider that as well when we're putting strategies together for our clients, is actually, will it work if they start hosting a board meeting for their community, not their community as such, but if there's CEOs in the fitness industry that they think they can network with, and that might help like collaboration and stuff, then why didn't they host a board meeting, this particular client, and talk to these people? So we do offer guidance on offline stuff as well, even though we're a digital marketing agency. But it's important to think about both, because not everything is online these days, not everything is digital. We need to try steer away from that as much as possible before it takes over our lives.
I agree. And I think it kind of, the retention aspect of it, like I go to so many gyms, and, you know, fair enough, they don't do any marketing and they're actually, you know, successful. They're turning a profit every month, and it's, you know, it's all happy days. But then there's that element of like, you're not actually doing anything else. And actually even like basic word of mouth stuff, I think is how they actually keep doing it. And it's they don't do any online marketing, but they're doing these like community events. People have a good experience there because of that face-to-face stuff. So it is all that, like, it's the offline stuff that I think probably leaves a lasting impression with people, more so than, you know, how good your website matches with your Instagram.
Exactly. And keep customers happy. Like, they love community events. And I think there's a stat where it's like acquiring new customers is 5 to 7 times more expensive than retaining your customers. So why not like just provide them with some additional value? People like that go to gyms generally love to like socialize. So if you keep your community happy, they're going to keep coming back for more.
Exactly. And I think also then some people are like, but it's like, like some people find it like cringy, I guess, which is like funny. But I guess those people will just, so people don't do like any kind of offline community-based stuff because they're like, oh, people in the gym won't like it. But then actually they just won't get involved. It's like you're not going to annoy them by doing community stuff. Like,
don't be so targeted on like the specific people.
Exactly. I think
try to think a bit more openly.
Exactly. We should all be more open-minded. Is the day away from this podcast. So sorry, gone completely off now. Relying on managed metrics, we touched on all that, haven't we?
Yeah, I feel like we've touched on everything.
I'm so keeping it. No, I'm joking. Actually, so one thing that I did want to touch on a little bit more, just was the email marketing. I guess give it a very kind of brief overview of what it is. But I think things like newsletters, things like, I'm trying to think of something else, things like just regular contact, like feedback, even emails like that. What are some good examples of things that people should be doing anyway? And one complaint that I always get is, I mean, maybe this is actually something you can touch on entirely, but people always say like, oh, it's just so much effort. Like, I don't have the time to, you know, write the newsletter or something like that. How can people get around that? I mean, you can just tell people to suck it up, I guess, if you really want. But yeah, how can people get around that? And then what are some good kind of email marketing ideas? What should people be doing, and what's the effect of it?
Question told. And I can't remember what the first one was.
Basically, just talk about email
Email
marketing. I think it's the first.
Yeah, yeah, we don't, to be fair, for health and fitness in general, we don't tend to do much email marketing. We do it more for like the charity side of things. Charities work really well with email marketing, as you can imagine. And I think when it comes to, like we were mentioning earlier, the retention side of things, I think email marketing can work quite well with that when it comes to like, I don't know, reminder emails about your next favourite class, or like a community events happening, and it keeps them up to date. But I think nowadays a lot of things are on an app anyway. Yeah. So you tend to just like download the app and everything's on there. So I feel like maybe it's sort of steering away from that. But the only other thing is, obviously email marketing is, again, something you own. So if you've got a big subscriber list, you may as well utilize it. Yeah. But it depends what you're after. It depends what the strategy is. Because I wouldn't necessarily say that email marketing is the best strategy for a gym or a fitness facility if you're looking to get new customers, because it's not the best like brand building side of things or short-term activation.
But more, I think I was more sort of aiming it towards like the retention side of it.
Yeah, I think when it comes to, you were saying about the newsletters, and that is quite time consuming, and obviously you need to provide value in it as well. It's actually just working out what is your email actually doing. Like, what would you want the outcome to be from that email? Like, is there a CTA at the bottom of it? Is it to, or like for a charity example, is it to donate to someone? Yeah. Is it for a personal training session to book in for a PT session? Like, they need to have a reason to why you're sending an email, not just sending emails for the sake of sending emails. I think that's something that you need to think about first.
Definitely.
The other thing is obviously building your email list. You need to build it from somewhere. So if you haven't got an email list, you need some like a subscriber list on like your website, for example. So you need a CTA saying subscribe now. But also, again, is it adding value to your customer? Otherwise, what they actually subscribing to?
I suppose that you've raised quite a good point there. Is actually you've constantly got to be thinking, what's the aim of this? Yeah. What do I actually want this? What are people going to think when they see this as well? Rather than just kind of mindlessly chucking out content, which I guess I've probably been. Which is one of the pitfalls that people fall into marketing about. Definitely, it's just like
content.
If we're doing it, then it must be like the right thing. But it's I guess is the metrics how you kind of register how effective that is.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I used to always think marketing was, is just content after content. Let's post everywhere and everything, and just hope for the best. But actually, it's why are we doing it? Like, what is the reason to do it? And then work out what the key metrics are for each strategy that you're doing. Strategy is thrown about so much, so it's so annoying that I keep saying it, but you need a strategy for every single channel you execute. So think about those key metrics for every single thing you're doing.
How can you, like, I know this is probably dumbing it down quite a lot, but how can you kind of create that strategy? Where's the good place to kind of start without what are the questions you should really think about when trying to make your marketing strategy?
For email or just
I think for everything really, yeah.
Again, we kind of base it on obviously what the customer is after, their business objectives, their business goals, what they're all doing now, what capacity they have in-house. So can we use anyone in-house now that can do stuff that we can't do, or not that we can't do, but we haven't got enough time, not enough time, that's the wrong.
That they understand it more.
Yeah.
More context for that.
It's more like, for example, if there is a gym, they're there all the time, so they can take content. Whereas we're all working from home. We can't just keep popping to the gym and taking all the content for you all the time. We will be able to book out days, which we do, and we do a full day of like content. But if they want to do something regularly, like, is there someone that can do videos every day? So it's working out, capacity, what the business goals are, what the business objectives are, and we'd have to like strip it back completely, and that's why I do the audit. So. Yeah, have you got pages indexed on the website? Have you got a Google Ads account running already? Do you have Google Analytics set up? But are you actually tracking anything? So you kind of have to like take it all back to basics. Where it's a very long process, but you've got to do it, and work out the strategy from that, really. So again, there isn't really like a strict one answer to that question. But it's just a long process, and it's not an easy process.
I think that entire answer kind of said where you should start is, as you say, it's literally stripping everything back and thinking, what are we actually trying to achieve here? Yeah. and then I guess writing how you can get there.
Yeah, you summarised it well. I probably was a very long thing of dance. Such that was very short.
I only got the answer because you said it, so that's the truth. Yeah, I mean, I think that makes total sense. One thing that you mentioned earlier that I didn't even consider, but is actually probably a massive part of it, is like an app.
Yeah.
Probably talking more specifically like gym facilities with an app. Is that something you kind of deal with? Is that something that you advise?
So to be fair, we have worked with apps, but we're not like a dev company. Like, you don't do the development side of things. So we tend to work with customers that have apps, but they have their own like development team. So we don't necessarily, again, we'll track metrics. So for example, if there's an ad that is sign up to the app or sign up to our challenge, which then send you to the app, we can track how many people have gone from the ad to the app. We don't deal with the app itself, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
So yeah, it's not something we really hone in on or focus on.
But I guess actually, I think what I was trying to sort of get at, because what's happened in my head, which sounds worrying. What's happened in my head is basically actually a lot of the email marketing that maybe I was talking about doing like internally for retention, you can actually just do through that app and have all your newsletters and stuff on there.
And you can send like pop-up messages or notifications on people's phones, and and a lot of the time people don't read emails. I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but I delete all my promo emails. I don't even look at them. I just select it all and delete.
That's fair.
Whereas, and a lot of people have started to send text messages, which is the next thing. Like, people are like, well, if people aren't going to read my email, I'll send them a text instead. No. So that's why people are getting numbers.
I think, that it's like I read something, it was like 0.1% of emails. It's like that's your average ratio of what works.
Yeah, and I think that's why we don't really do that much email with gyms. Like I was saying earlier, that the charity industry, that is big for emails. Newsletters are a big thing for them. But yeah, with gyms and the fitness industry in general, it's not a huge thing.
No, you've just given me a bit of an awakening, to be honest, because I've just thought I've probably been doing something wrong. And I probably should be doing something else, yeah. Oh. But no, to be honest, it's really insightful. I think the reason I wanted to get you on here today was kind of just to break down how much goes into marketing. Yeah. And actually, you've kind of highlighted you don't need to do it all. You just need to be doing, as your boss said, your boss will be very exceptionally well. So yeah, I think that is the honest truth. That's annoying, but we'll cut that out. I think that is the honest truth. Like, as long as you're doing one thing exceptionally well, or 3 or 4 things maybe, that's the kind of main thing. And if you're focusing on, I mean, can you give me like a really basic formula of like, how would this work? Maybe if it was like, do 2 things that focus on brand building, 1 thing that focuses on short-term sales, and then 1 thing that focuses on retention. It's probably like a good ratio to work on.
Yeah, I probably split it down to be fair, bottom of funnel and top of funnel. Like a little bit, like I mentioned earlier, which is again sort of brand building and short-term activation. So brand building being like your social media activity. It's just an organic content strategy, not necessarily ads, or you could do it as like a post promotion, but it's not really a strategy. It's just to get awareness. Yeah. And then it'll be, you could even have middle of funnel, which gets a little bit messy. I think it's like messy middle or something like that. Which could just be like website traffic. Like, just think about key metrics that are sort of midway through the journey of converting. Yeah. So you've got your awareness stage, your sort of middle stage of like, oh, should we sign up? Should we not? Not really sure, but we'll see which traffic is going to which page on the website, for example. And then you've got obviously your bottom of funnel conversion. So that's, have people signed up? Have people gone to sign up to the challenge? Are people attending the event that you're running? So it's, again, depending on it could be on any channel, but just knowing what those key metrics are and which one's awareness and which one's conversion is the important thing. You can't do it as everything.
No, that's very fair. Okay. I mean, I think, to be honest, you've kind of touched on everything that I wanted to talk about. I think the only final thing would really be like, where does someone start in terms of like, if they want to run more, social media ads, if they think actually maybe our social media is not great, or if they want to like get their website redone, where's the best place to start to think, how do I start doing this? Imagine it's someone that knows nothing about marketing.
Contact me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
go on to Boss Digital. That's absolutely help you out.
We can leave it like that.
I mean, I don't know what else to say really, because most of the time that people come to us because they they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
They're just like, we're doing this thing. Don't know why we're doing it, but something's happening. We don't know why.
I think if you want me to be a bit more fair, it's find someone within your network or that knows something about marketing and just ask them, I guess, is a good place to start, including Boss Digital, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I think if it depends if you've got the knowledge in marketing as well. If you have no idea about marketing, just speak to someone. And we don't always, we do like consulting as well. So it's not like we're going to take the business away from you. You can just talk to us and we just say, oh, look, we wouldn't advise doing that, but maybe we should try this. But it's not necessarily us doing the work for you. We're just saying, look, that's not working. You try something else. So just even getting an hour of consulting will help you just think of a different decision or a different strategy.
Massively. No, I completely agree. Is there anything else that you think is kind of, a final thing that you want to touch on that's the most important thing, or have you got anything else that you want to touch on?
I don't think so. I don't think that's. I've been trying to think about a really inspirational, quote to end with, but I just didn't have one at the moment of my book.
That's fair enough. Well, I think that probably means that we've come off everything we use come up. So
to be fair, I don't know if it's going to come out right, but people buy stories, not products. That's, I think, the biggest takeaway from today.
I totally agree. I think actually probably the most important thing that I feel like you've said today is that it's not all about social media. Just because you're posting online doesn't mean that it's working. Even just because you're posting online and getting loads of likes doesn't mean that you're actually necessarily doing a good job. There's so much more that you need to kind of look at to get a good understanding of it. I think that's massively true. I think it's a thing that, everyone in the fitness industry can definitely, take a look at more. Yeah. Olivia, thank you so much for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic, really insightful, and thank you very much.
No, thank you for having me, Tom.
Perfect. There you have it. That was episode 7 of the Gym Owners Forum podcast with Olivia Stott from Boss Digital. And what an episode it was. There was a couple moments in there where I thought, actually, maybe I should probably, put that into what I'm doing in my work as well. So, hopefully there's something in there for you guys to take away and, to implement and get started with you guys. Obviously, I'll link in all the kind of resources that you spoke about in the description. And I'll also link Boss Digital if you're interested in getting in touch with her. Feel free. And then also, if you're looking for more great content like this, more insight from the fitness industry, give us a follow on our socials. Check out our other podcasts on all podcast platforms and YouTube. And we'll see you in the next one.